This is the video for the building of the requires list and the bit price list for the binary program. Over here on the left, we see the routine that makes those lists. Below that, we first see the bit item list, first part of it, and we see the first part of the bit factor list. Over here on the right, we first see this would be the bit price list, and below that we have the requires list, both at offset 400 and offset 0. Now we go over to the routine. It sets K to 0 and L to 0. It's pointing at the top of this list, and it's going to use the L for the top of this list. Then it sets NS to 8. That's a control register. It's used to tell it how many values there are in a sublist. For instance, down here, this multiply L needs to know how many values in row list it's supposed to multiply by F. And this row call instruction needs to know how many requireds from here are to be put into the row list. Next it says M is set to the bit count, but 1 is subtracted from M. M is going to be used for the number of times it's supposed to go around this list of 4i to next I M times. We want it to go around for each bit. Well, the bits are at offset 0 to bit count -1. Now we're going to enter the loop for I. First thing it does is sets R equal to bit item sub I. Well, down here's bit item. It's going to set R to 0 offset. Next, it sets F to bit factor at offset I. Well, this is the bit factors down here. It's going to be 1. The next time it comes around this loop, when I is increased, it's going to point to this one, still item at offset 0, but it has a factor of 2. Then again it's going to be item 0, but a factor of 4. And next time it goes around the loop, item 0 again, but a factor of 1. Now let's continue on in our loop. Here, it's going to say the requires at offset R, that's for that particular item, are 20 apart. These requires are in a column of required. We want it to be as a row. Well, they're 20 apart. So here it says 20 apart. We know that the control register NS is 8. There's 8 of them. So it's going to go down and take each of those 8 and put them next to each other in row list. That's so this next instruction, multiply list, will take the factor and multiply it by each of these, and there's 8 of them. Remember, up here we set NS to 8. All 8 of them are going to be multiplied and put here at requires plus 400L. That's down here. Here's requires at offset 400, and what it's going to be doing, it's going to take what's required and multiply it by 1. That's the factor. Well, there's 8 of them. So 11, 12, there's no requires there. There's only 2 requires for this particular item. However, the next time it goes around, the factor will be 2. So up here, we're going to say it's not going to be 11 and 12, but at offset 8, we see it's 22 and 24. The next factor is 4, and here we see another offset of 8. It's 44 and 48. Now we'll continue. going to set the bit price of the kth one, and that's pointing right up here, beginning, to the price of the rth one. Well, that's going to be 1. And it says I'm going to multiply it by the factor of 1. And up here we have it, it's 1. But the next time it comes around, the factor is, we see down here, 2. So it's going to say the price is 2. Then the factor is 4. It's going to multiply f times 1 and get 4. Then there's still another one that's 1. Still the first item, and its factor is 1. And that's why up here we have another 1. Then after the first 4 are for the 0 offset of bits, the next one is 1, 1, 1. So the one at offset 1 has 3 factors. So we come down here, we see it has a factor of 1, 2, and 3. And if we come over here, we'll see 1, 4, and, that one. I'm sorry, we have 4, 8, and 12 for 1 times it, 2 times it, 3 times 4. So we come over here and we just multiplied the price also by the factor. We then increase k by 1. It'll always point to the next one in the list. L is changed by 8. This list is being changed by 8 each time. Then, after we go through this list, we have to make this upper list here, in this box, minus everything in this one. This offset at 0 is going to be when it adds the particular bit to the solution, it must subtract from what's left of quantities by what's required. Whereas down here, if it's being put out of the solution, it's going to add 11 back, add 12 back for this particular one. So these are going to be used in the binary search for the best solution. Well, this is the end of this video on what builds the requires list and the bit price list for the binary solution.